Okay, now see, the airline conversation is super interesting because like you mentioned with Boeing, air traffic is up 6 to 7% this year. So more people are flying. But Megan, my question to you is, people are complainers about their airlines. People don't usually tweet about their happy experiences. Usually they're going to complain. So does this skew your data at all?
You're exactly right. Whenever we look at, different sectors, airlines typically have pretty abysmal happiness levels comparatively. When you talk about retail, we might talk about happiness levels in the 70s or even 80. And when we look at airlines, you're hovering in like the 40s and 50s, some getting down as low as the 30s. You have some bright stars, Delta is up near 58%, but I would say United specifically is in the bottom of the pack. Their happiness levels are around 46%. Of the airlines we track, I think the only airline worse that I looked at today was American. So just comparatively, that's kind of how they stack from a sentiment perspective.
Yeah, Megan, from a public relations standpoint, a dead puppy is never going to be a big winner in the public relations. But to go over to Delta, what you're talking about, 58%, that's got to be considered massively positive, right? I mean, if it's 50-50, I think that's got to be good.
Absolutely. That's definitely the strong airline showing of the ones that we track from a happiness perspective. And comparatively, I believe their purchase intent has been growing. But in contrast, when you look at United, we're starting to see actually while they're ticking up this quarter going into the busy summer season, from a year over year perspective, they're down about 8%. So that's a little troubling for them.
Hey, Megan, quick question. So to me, yeah, the happiness data clearly may be skewed given that people tend to air their grievances online more so than their good experiences. One other thing I'd have to ask too is when you're looking at travel in general and purchase intent, how many more people are just saying, hey, I'm going on this vacation flying on an airline rather than actually being like, I'm flying United for my vacation? Do you have any data on just the industry as a whole that you use to kind of translate onto all these airlines also?
I think that in general, when you look about people talking about buying plane tickets or just traveling, the experience economy, that is a real thing. People increasingly value trips, even maybe more so than things. So in general, there is strength in that market, but I think that there are definite winners and losers in the airline industry. And according to our data, when we look at Delta, for example, we're seeing that purchase intent continue to increase and grow year over year. But with United, that's not the case. So I think that that difference and that comparing purchase intent to itself over time is extremely valuable in this instance.
Yeah, and it's funny, I did look on social media today. I looked at all the different airlines, and it seems like there is that negative noise surrounding each one. I mean, it's impossible for one to be just so much better than the other, at least today. But our first tweet says, United trying hard to be the worst airline ever.
There it is. There it is.
There it is. And that's great. But since Winda Airlines not allow online check-ins unless you check your bag carry-on. And if you do check your bag, and it's an additional $30. So now they're withholding basic functionality unless customers pay extra. Just ridiculous. So this is funny because this is exactly what we were just talking about.
You just summed up all our thoughts in one tweet.
Yes, but I do have to say, because I looked at each airline, I saw similar tweets with Delta and with American.
Right.
So I guess, Megan, how does United then combat their competitors? Because it seems like there's this negative noise with every airline.
I think that, they're really working on their loyalty program. They're trying to enhance that and have more loyalty users. I think that, other airlines may have had a leg up in that sense, so they've got some room to grow. I think that United also acknowledges that they have room to grow. When you look at different things that their company has put out long term, they're really, this being Pride Month, they're very, LGBTQ friendly. They were one of the first to offer a gender non-binary option on flights and things of that nature. So I think they're trying to work different avenues to improve the customer experience. But so far, I think that they do have some catching up to do.
Yeah, Megan, I think that's probably really important for United if you turn in terms of the loyalty and accumulating miles. Because I mean, just before the show, we were talking. I prefer Southwest. I like the flexibility. Both of you said you're more American. I don't know if you have a preferred airline, Megan, but this is a space where I feel like the loyalty is more important than almost any other space.
Absolutely. I think loyalty can really drive repeat purchase intent, which is something that, these airlines can benefit from long term. You want to incentivize people to continue to choose you and travel you. And, that's something that I think United has some room to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with
That's
you.
such a nice way to say it, Megan.
The brand loyalty is a true thing because for some reason, we have such an allegiance to certain airlines
Right.
without, I've had good experiences, but it's just this now brand loyalty that I have developed over time. But our next tweet is from Like to Trade, who says, United Airlines also bumping up against a pair of trend lines. Make or break time soon for the stock. Break out or break down. Some other airlines also similar. So going into these summer months from a more technical standpoint, how do you trade United or other competitors?
Yeah, Brett set up a pretty clear channel on both American and United. So you're going to look at United, and that $90 level is pretty significant up there, and it's just below it. So that's how you look at it. I think it's going to take something pretty spectacular to get this stock through the 90 level. So that's the way we'll trade it. We'll look at the chart, that'll choose our strikes, and then we'll look at some risk-defying trades accordingly.
Yeah, we talked about how to find these channels. We're just the last segment here. Megan, real quick before we let you go, I'm looking at the consumer purchase intent mentions here for United that you provided us here. Looking at it versus the stock price, I see a little bit of a divergence. This, of course, you like to also look at, and I know quarter by quarter also. If you're kind of looking out for next quarter's earnings, which we know is going to be sometime in the middle to later half of July, it looks like actually July 16th after market. If this divergence continues, do you guys see opportunity there a little bit?
Perhaps that's definitely something we're watching. Their quarter ends in about 2 weeks, I think at the end of June. And right now, year over year, the purchase intent is down 8%. Meanwhile, the stock is up, I believe, 18%. So, that is starting to paint a divergent picture. And that's something that we'll continue to track to see, can they ramp up? Can they meet demand and continue with these bookings through the summer, or are they going to lag behind?